3, 2.
What up guys, Nerd Scum here. I'm doing a little bit of a different format right now because I just read Astonishing X-Men number 2 and I was super excited about it. So I didn't even want to take the time to properly set up lights and do another video. I just wanted to jump right into this. Now this doesn't actually come out till tomorrow, so this will have some spoilers in it. If you do not want this book spoiled, and it's a fantastic book, I would not hold it against you if you put off watching this video until after reading the issue. However, having said that, we're about to move into this, but before we do, I want to say not only do I feel this is a really solid comic, really solid issue of this comic. The first one was really strong, and I'm on issue 2 here. I'm willing to go out on a limb and say that Astonishing X-Men is one of the best books being put out by Marvel right now. And while it is a strong book in terms of story and character, I also feel, and I might just be projecting here, but there's a large section of this book that feels a lot like a meta-commentary about what is happening in Marvel's continuity right now. So, I'm not going to go way into that because it gets a little more political than I really feel like getting. But, yeah, we'll touch on it a little bit. So okay, let's go ahead and dive in here. So Astonishing X-Men number 2. So we start off here, and we've got a performer who's telling us a story and basically setting up what kind of story this is going to be, while we have the dark captions talking about the X-Men. And it turns out that this guy is part of a stage production about the X-Men. It's called The Life of X. And as we go through here, we see that our established cast of characters from the previous issue is stuck in this low-rent theater, kind of watching it and commenting on how it's kind of fake and kind of shoddy, and you know, it's just cheap. It's a cheap knockoff. And then of course we get like the big 2-page wasting spread, which actually in this particular case is only a 1-page wasting spread, because this little paragraph they give is actually very succinct in terms of catching you up on what you need to know, so that even though they'll reinforce it later on in the issue, if you did not read the first issue, you can jump in on issue 2. And this little piece here, along with a couple of statements later on, will have you completely caught up. So let's see. So then we jump right into it. And we've got the Shadow King and Professor X, right on, the Shadow King and Professor X. And they are talking about the game that they are playing with the X-Men. How they're both manipulating this reality that the X-Men are in towards some end. And then we go back to the real world, to London, to the Shard, where, and it kind of mentioned it before, but previously Psylocke had been possessed by the Shadow King, and he had caused a huge attack on London. And basically all these military personnel are moving in because, as far as they know, these are still hostile mutants that are extremely powerful. Bishop mentions that, you know, maybe they should have gone somewhere else. Psylocke, she's like, you know, that wasn't me. I didn't do anything. And he makes the point of like, yeah, I know that. But do the guys in the helicopters do? Do they know that? And then actually we get a little bit here where I'm really not feeling that helicopter. But anyway, beside the point. Then we go into the command center of where the Ministry of Defense is operating from. And these are the guys who have men out in the helicopters. And basically they go through this whole thing where they talk about their position. They know all these mutants are on record, and most of them are on record as being good guys. But they've also all been on record at one point or the other of either being morally ambiguous or being straight up evil. And these X-Men then came to their city during the middle of a psychic attack that nearly killed millions across the world, and then on top of that, Psylocke had her big boom thing with Shadow King taking her over and just destroying parts of the Shard and laying waste to a small segment of London. So what's interesting about this is one of the few Marvel books where, while these guys are going to be doing something against our heroes, when you read this, you completely understand their position. This isn't something they want to do, but they don't know what the stakes, like they don't know what's going on. So they have to assume that they are hostile. And while like a lot of people wouldn't agree with that, as you read through this and you look at the way these faces are drawn and the way these men are talking about it, you understand that this isn't something they want to do, it's something they feel they need to do, which is a lot more level than most of the Marvel books have been here recently. So then you have this little thing where we're back at the play, and we see Colossus and Kitty Pryde's relationship being played out like Romeo and Juliet. And then we see Gambit and Rogue watching as they comment, but then it transitions and we see that the same actress who had played Kitty Pryde is now playing Rogue, and the same actor, even dressed still in his Colossus face, is playing Gambit just with a coat. And they mentioned that that's weird and peculiar. And then we come down here and we see that actually the actor from Colossus is now in the form of Rogue, whereas the Kitty Pryde actress is now playing Gambit, but with the Kitty Pryde elements more in place. Um, and again, I kind of you have to wonder if this is a meta commentary on the things that are being done with characters inside Marvel right now. I don't want to go into that too far, but then also the reaction. I'm going to let people read and judge for themselves. But the reaction of most of these characters to this altered reality is very reminiscent of what a lot of fans have been saying. But at the same time, as we're going through it, while it's making that point, it's also pointing out very important moments of history in the X-Men for people who maybe aren't as accustomed to these particular characters. So then we move in over here and we see a segment from the Dark Phoenix saga, and Logan realizes that something's not right. And as he realizes this, Jean begins to come on to him. And he, despite the fact that it's Jean, he's really not feeling this. He knows something's up. She lays one on him, and you see that this is then Xavier and the Shadow King at war through these moments. The Shadow King is trying to win over Wolverine's soul through tempting him with this thing that he knows he wants. But deep down, Wolverine knows this isn't real, especially because they've been playing this really weird, kind of creepy thing with the old man Logan character and the young Jean Grey character. And as good as this is in this book, in terms of like Wolverine being the first one to snap out of this little weird dream state they've been put into, it also kind of feels like a commentary on that. Like this writer looking at it and being like, look, no matter what you may think is coming, don't worry. Like, that's not a thing that's going to happen. Like, we're not going to let that happen. Because that's weird and creepy. But anyway, yeah. So Logan, he stabs the fake Jean. And at that point, the Shadow King turns all of the actors playing the X-Men against the actual X-Men, and they fight it out. There's also a mention in here that, there's a chance, because they're on the astral plane, which is where a lot of people go when they die, there's a chance that some of those people actually were the real people. And none of them are really comfortable with that idea. But then we move in over here, and then, it's finally revealed, which we all knew from looking at the cover of the first issue, but that Beast is actually Mystique in disguise. And Wolverine not only smells it now, despite being in the astral world, which doesn't make a lot of sense, but I think it's because he just realized it, so his mind then generates the smell as part of his reality. But basically he noticed by the way that Beast was fighting that it was not Beast. So immediately Phantom X pulls his guns, and Rogue's like, shoot her! And so through this, this is actually a very well-written little segment, where not only does it feel honest to the moment, but they use it as a chance to reinforce the relationships between the different characters, specifically Mystique and Rogue to Gambit, and Phantom X to the entire group. There's also a great moment earlier in where Xavier points out to Shadow King not to underestimate Phantom X because he plays the fool, but that's all part of the illusion. And his character's all about illusions. In fact, here, He's actually mentioning, he's like, my whole thing is illusions. Like, I should have been able to see through it. So at that point, they are presented with these doors. And they're trying to figure out what to do, and they're all kind of, again, this is really well written. It looks like a lot of dialogue, but it moves very fast, and all this dialogue is perfectly written for the most iconic archetypes of these characters. Even Old Man Logan, in this book, he's not Old Man Logan. He's written like Wolverine. Like Wolverine back when I started reading comics Wolverine. So anyway, like Phantom X starts checking this place out, and he's just like, "Hey, if you remember in the last issue, him and Gambit are together because Gambit owes him some money." And this was really funny. Gambit's just like, "Whatever," kicks him through the door and shuts it. And then he turns to them, and he's like, "What? What's up?" And actually, Rogue's like, "Actually, nothing. Well done." And Wolverine's like, "Yeah, good riddance." So let's see. And then finally, we get to this point where finally Wolverine, he makes a point to mention to them, "Hey guys, someone else was at play. This is not just a one-sided thing. This is two people playing against each other." And, Phantom X had also pointed out this earlier that they are pawns in this game. And then we finally, as we start to lead down, Wolverine reminds them that they are not alone in this. And then it's revealed down here that if the Shadow King wins this game, he gets to take over their bodies, take their souls, and use their bodies as puppets on the real physical plane. And if Xavier wins, he gets to kill them himself and give them the mercy that the Shadow King never would. But then it finally ends on Wolverine and Xavier both stating, we're all in this together. And it's to be continued. So obviously Xavier's got something up his sleeve there. And again, like, I didn't like the art in this issue quite as much as in the first one. Who is Caramel? And look at this, Iceman's gonna fight Wolverine's son. I think it's Dakin or something. That's gonna be awful. But yeah, guys, Astonishing X-Men #2. This book was frickin' fantastic. Like I said, it feels like there's a lot of levels. The characters are perfectly written. It feels like the versions of the characters you know. The art is really badass. There's not a bunch of huge action sequences or anything like that, but what you get is really great, and it feels like they're really building towards something. God, I have no idea why I got this variant cover. See, I'm part of the problem, because this cover is not good, but I got it anyway because I was excited about this book. At least I'm only getting the crappy variants for books I actually like, as opposed to Sun. No. Get over there. You're gonna wait your turn tomorrow. Right. Astonishing X-Men #2, guys. Freaking awesome book. I highly recommend it. Go pick it up tomorrow. Get the first issue if you missed it. This book is awesome and is one of the best things coming out of Marvel Comics right now, and we've got to support the good stuff. We got to, with our money, do our best to show what we want. Alright, thank you guys. Nerd Scum, out.